In 2025, the average monthly rent in London is over £2,100. That's not a typo, £2 grand a month, just for a one-bedroom flat. Add to that, supermarket prices have jumped nearly 25% in just 2 years, hospital waiting times are breaking records, and getting a visa is starting to feel like cracking a secret code. Still thinking about moving to the UK? Let's be honest, on paper, the UK sounds like a dream. History, culture, global connections, maybe even the royal family charm. But behind the postcards and tourist traps lies a growing storm of challenges that can turn your dream into a nightmare. What if I told you that people who moved to the UK for a better life are now leaving in record numbers? What's really happening in the UK right now, and why are so many expats, students and professionals saying thanks but no thanks? In this video, we're breaking down 10 eye-opening reasons not to move to the UK in 2025. And these aren't just opinions. These are backed by stats, reports, and real-life stories from people who've lived it. By the end of this video, you'll have a much clearer view of what life in the UK actually looks like, and why it might not be the paradise you imagined. Number 1. Cost of living crisis. Let's start with the biggest elephant in the room: money. In 2025, living in the UK feels like running on a treadmill that just keeps speeding up. No matter how hard you work, you can't seem to catch up. The cost of everyday life has skyrocketed. In just the past 24 months, grocery prices are up nearly 25%, with basics like milk, eggs, and bread turning into luxury items for many. According to the Office for National Statistics, average household energy bills have soared to over £3,000 a year, even for modest-sized homes. That's just to keep the lights on and stay warm. And it's not just London. From Birmingham to Brighton, rent prices are climbing fast. A one-bedroom flat outside the capital can still set you back £1,200 a month, and that's without including council tax, utilities, or transport. Wages? Not keeping pace. Public sector salaries are growing at a sluggish rate, and even in the private sector, pay raises are falling well below inflation. This means real income is shrinking. People are working just as hard, but getting less in return. A study from the Joseph Rowntree Foundation reveals that more than 1 in 5 people in the UK are now living in poverty. Shockingly, many of them are fully employed, clocking in daily and still unable to afford essentials. The impact goes beyond numbers. Constant financial pressure is fueling a rise in mental health issues, with anxiety and depression linked directly to the stress of making ends meet. So before you pack your bags, ask yourself, are you prepared for a life where your salary barely covers survival? Because for many newcomers, that's exactly what they're walking into. Number 2. Housing shortage and rent madness. Let's talk about finding a place to live in the UK, because that alone can feel like winning the lottery. Without the ticket. The UK is facing a severe housing shortage, and it's only getting worse in 2025. In major cities like London, Manchester, and Edinburgh, the demand for housing far outweighs the supply. New builds can't keep up, and older homes are being snapped up before they even hit the market. Want to rent? Be prepared to compete. In some areas, listings are flooded with dozens of applicants within hours. Landlords are charging eye-watering rents, often demanding 6 months of rent up front, even for average properties. And don't expect luxury. Mold, poor insulation, noisy neighbours, and outdated interiors are all too common in affordable listings. For international students and new arrivals, it's even tougher. Many landlords are now refusing to rent to anyone without UK credit history or local references. That leaves newcomers stuck in overpriced temporary accommodation, or worse, facing homelessness in a country they just moved to for a better life. Even shared housing isn't cheap anymore. You could pay £800 a month just for a room in a shared flat in London, with a shared kitchen and 1 bathroom for 4 people. Comfort and privacy are quickly becoming luxuries. And buying a home? Forget it. The average home price in the UK is hovering around £290,000, with prices in London nearly double that. First-time buyers are struggling even with high deposits and long mortgage terms. This crisis isn't just inconvenient, it's pushing people out of cities, breaking up communities, and piling on enormous financial pressure. If this shocked you, drop your thoughts in the comments. What's the housing market like where you live? And if you're finding this info helpful, don't forget to hit that subscribe button. More hard truths are coming your way. Number 3. Overloaded NHS system. You've probably heard people praise the NHS, free healthcare for everyone. Sounds amazing, right? But here's what they don't always tell you. In 2025, getting seen by a doctor in the UK is starting to feel like winning a raffle. You can register with a local GP if they're accepting new patients, but actually seeing one, that can take weeks, even for something urgent. Some people report waiting up to 14 hours in emergency rooms. Others just give up and go private if they can afford it. Hospitals are overwhelmed. Staff shortages, aging infrastructure, and surging demand have created a perfect storm. Nurses are striking, doctors are exhausted. And the backlog of surgeries, it's in the millions. And it's not just big city hospitals either. Rural areas are hit hard. Some don't even have nearby emergency services anymore. Ambulance response times? Often delayed. In a medical emergency, those extra minutes can be the difference between life and death. Even routine services are under pressure. Dental care through the NHS is now so hard to access that people are flying to other countries just to get their teeth fixed. Eye tests, mental health referrals, physical therapy all come with long wait lists or no availability at all. This isn't an attack on the NHS itself. It's a lifeline, and the people working in it are doing everything they can. But the truth is, the system is overstretched and underfunded. It's not prepared for the growing population or the complexities of modern healthcare. If you're thinking of moving to the UK, remember, healthcare might be free, but that doesn't mean it's accessible when you need it most. Number 4. Work visa complications. Think getting a job in the UK automatically means you can move there? Think again. In 2025, navigating the UK's visa system is like trying to solve a Rubik's Cube, blindfolded. With post-Brexit immigration reforms in full swing, work visas have become more selective, more expensive, and more difficult to secure than ever. First, not all jobs qualify. You need to be sponsored by an employer, one that's officially licensed to issue visas. But here's the catch. Many companies don't want to deal with the hassle. The paperwork, legal fees, and strict requirements make it a risky investment. Even if you're highly qualified, if the employer sees someone local who ticks enough boxes, they'll take the easier route. Then there's the salary threshold. To be eligible, your role must offer a minimum salary, often £26,200 or more, sometimes higher depending on the field. If you're just starting out or transitioning careers, that's a big ask. The visa application itself, it's long, complex, and error-sensitive. Upload the wrong file, you're out. Miss a tiny detail. Back to square one. And these aren't quick fixes. Processing times stretch weeks, sometimes months, leaving you in limbo. Even once approved, your visa ties you tightly to your sponsor. Want to switch jobs? You'll need a fresh sponsorship and a new visa. Lose your job? You've got 60 days to either get hired again or leave the country entirely. And the costs aren't small either. Application fees, the health surcharge, legal advice, it all adds up to thousands of pounds just to legally work. Bottom line, unless you're in a high-demand field with an employer ready to sponsor you, the UK's new immigration landscape is less of a gateway and more of a fortress. Number 5. Cultural integration and social isolation. Moving to a new country isn't just about the logistics, it's also about connection. Making friends, finding your place, feeling like you belong. And here's where the UK might surprise you. And not in a good way. For many newcomers, the UK can feel emotionally cold. Not because people are rude, most aren't. But there's a certain cultural reserve, a kind of unspoken distance that's hard to break through. Small talk is fine, but deep connections, those take time and lots of effort. Unlike some countries where neighbours invite you over or strangers chat in line, Brits tend to keep to themselves. There's a politeness, yes, but it often masks a reluctance to get personal. If you're from a warm, expressive culture, the difference can be jarring. This isn't just anecdotal. Studies show that loneliness levels among immigrants in the UK are among the highest in Europe. Many say they struggle to form real friendships, even after years of living there. And integration doesn't just depend on you trying hard. There are tight-knit local communities where outsiders aren't easily accepted. Language isn't the barrier, it's culture. Unspoken norms, humor, social cues. They can all make you feel like you're on the outside looking in. Expats often form their own bubbles, sticking to others from the same background just to feel understood. But that creates a cycle of separation, not integration. If you're single, it can be especially tough. Dating in the UK is famously awkward and slow-moving. The directness you're used to might be seen as forward. The silence, sometimes that's the conversation. So if you're dreaming of instant belonging in the UK, you might want to adjust your expectations. It's not impossible, but don't expect it to come quickly or easily. Number 6. Overregulation and everyday bureaucracy. One thing many people don't expect when they move to the UK. Just how deeply regulated everyday life is, and how much red tape you'll have to slice through, even for the simplest things. Want to rent a flat? You'll need multiple references, a detailed background check, proof of income, and sometimes even a right-to-rent check that includes your immigration status. Want to open a bank account? Get ready to prove your identity and address twice, and potentially face rejection if your name doesn't match across documents. And don't even get started on registering for utilities. It can take weeks just to get internet set up. If you're coming from a country where that takes 24 hours, this is a rude awakening. Driving in the UK, hope you enjoy paperwork. From registering your car with the DVLA to insuring it, to the annual MOT inspection, everything is a form, a fee, a process. You're required to notify authorities if you move, change your job, or even get a new car. Miss a step, you might get fined. Even something simple like disposing of household waste is regulated. Local councils have strict rules about which bins to use, when to put them out, and how many bags you're allowed. Put out your trash on the wrong day, you could get fined. All of this adds up, not just in time, but in stress. It's the sense of always walking a bureaucratic tightrope, where one wrong move could delay your plans, cost you money, or land you in trouble. The UK is a land of rules, and while some structure is good, too much can feel suffocating, especially when you're trying to build a new life. Number 7. Declining quality of public services. Once known for its reliable public infrastructure, the UK is now facing a noticeable decline in the quality of everyday services. And for newcomers expecting a smooth, developed world experience, it can be a major letdown. Public libraries are closing. Bus services are being cut, especially in smaller towns and rural areas. Streetlights go unrepaired for weeks. Trash collection is delayed or inconsistent in some neighborhoods. Even public toilets, once a basic standard, are increasingly hard to find or locked altogether. Why? A combination of budget cuts, overburdened systems, and aging infrastructure. Local councils across the country are facing funding gaps, and it's the essential services that are paying the price. Take public transport, for example. Trains are expensive, delayed, and overcrowded. A daily frustration for millions. Some routes have been axed completely. And buses? Outside of big cities, they're often unreliable or simply non-existent after a certain hour. Schools aren't exempt either. Many are grappling with staff shortages, outdated buildings, and underfunded classrooms. If you're moving with children and expecting consistently high-quality education, it may not meet your expectations. Then there's postal service delays, inconsistent internet speeds in non-urban areas, and a general sense of slow, frustrating inefficiency in places where you'd expect more. This erosion of public services doesn't just make daily life harder, it sends a message. The systems you're relying on might not be there when you need them most. For many people moving to the UK, this slow decline is a shock. It's not about luxury, just the basics working as they should. And when they don't, you start to feel it in your routine, your productivity, and your overall sense of stability. Number 8. Surging tax burden. When people talk about living in the UK, they often mention free healthcare and strong public services. But what doesn't get discussed nearly enough is how much you're paying for it, and in 2025, that number is climbing fast. The UK is now one of the most heavily taxed developed countries in the world. Income tax kicks in at just £12,570, with a basic rate of 20%. jumping to 40% once you earn over £50,270. Add national insurance on top, and a significant chunk of your paycheck disappears before it hits your bank account. But it doesn't stop there. There's VAT at 20% on most goods and services, meaning almost everything you buy costs more. Council tax? That varies by area, but in some boroughs it's now over £2,000 a year for an average home. And if you drive, you'll be hit with vehicle tax, congestion charges, ultra-low emission zone fees, and fuel prices that are among the highest in Europe. If you're self-employed or a small business owner, prepare for a maze of tax obligations, quarterly filings, and high accounting costs just to stay compliant. Miss a deadline or miscalculate, expect penalties, and here's the kicker. Despite these high taxes, public services are still under pressure. People are paying more but feeling like they're getting less in return. It creates frustration, and for new arrivals, serious sticker shock. What surprises most expats is how little disposable income they actually have once taxes and living costs are deducted. You might be earning more in pounds, but after everything's taken out, your lifestyle might not improve at all. So before assuming a UK salary guarantees financial comfort, look at what you'll really be left with. Spoiler alert, it might not be much. Might not. Number 9. Rising crime in urban areas. Urban life in the UK has always come with a bit of grit. That's part of the charm. But in 2025, some of that grit has turned into real concern. Major cities like London, Birmingham, and Manchester are experiencing a noticeable rise in crime, particularly in certain neighbourhoods. Knife-related incidents have surged, with some boroughs reporting increases of over 20% in the past year. And these aren't just isolated events. Violent street crime is becoming more common, even in areas that were once considered relatively safe. The police? Overstretched and underfunded. Response times have slowed, and entire departments are struggling with staff shortages. In some cities, people report crimes and never hear back. That's not just frustrating, it's dangerous. Theft and burglary rates are also climbing. Car thefts, break-ins, and phone snatching in broad daylight are becoming frequent, especially in high-traffic zones. Tourists and newcomers, often unfamiliar with local danger spots, are easy targets. It's not about painting the UK as a lawless place, it's not. But safety varies drastically by area, and many expats aren't prepared for how cautious they'll need to be. Public transport late at night? Risky in some districts? Leaving your bike unlocked? It'll likely vanish. Walking alone? Depends on the postcode, and it's not just physical safety, cybercrime and fraud are rampant too. Scams targeting new residents are increasingly sophisticated, from fake landlords to bogus government calls demanding personal info. The bottom line? You'll need to be vigilant. The urban UK of 2025 demands street smarts and constant awareness. If you're picturing cozy pubs and scenic city strolls, make sure you're also picturing well-lit routes, secure locks, and personal safety apps. Number 10. Education system challenges. If you're moving to the UK with kids, or planning to start a family, education is probably high on your list. And while the UK does have some world-renowned institutions, the reality of everyday schooling is much more complicated. In 2025, the UK's state education system is facing serious strain. Budget cuts, staff shortages, and growing class sizes are affecting the quality of learning across the board. Many schools now have classrooms with 30-plus students per teacher, making it hard for kids to get the attention they need. According to a recent National Education Union report, over 25% of UK teachers are considering leaving the profession due to burnout and lack of support. That means more substitute teachers, inconsistent instruction, and lower morale. And then there's the postcode lottery. In the UK, the quality of a public school often depends on your exact address. Good schools are concentrated in certain neighbourhoods, usually the more expensive ones. If you can't afford the rent in those zones, your child may end up in a school that's underfunded and underperforming. Private education is an option, but it's far from cheap. Expect to pay £15,000 to £40,000 per year per child. And that's not including uniforms, trips, or extracurriculars. Special education support, patchy and uneven. Some local authorities are excellent, Others have year-long waiting lists for assessments and support plans. Even university isn't a clear win. While the UK has elite universities, student debt is growing, and tuition fees for international students are some of the highest in the world. If education is a top priority, you'll need to do serious research before making the move. Because while the system has its strengths, navigating it as a newcomer can be a stressful and expensive challenge. So after hearing all this, would you still move to the UK in 2025? Drop your honest thoughts in the comments. We read every single one. If this video opened your eyes, check out our last episode for even more insights that most people overlook. We put a ton of work into bringing you content that's real, researched and raw. One click to subscribe means the world to us and helps us keep going.